and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program host and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by TCNTV Network Incorporated. Due to the social nature of this broadcasting channel, videos may contain content copyrighted by another entity or person. The TCNTV Network claims no rights to the said content. TCNTV Network cannot be held accountable for the copyrighted content. TCNTV Network is a messenger and sharer of information and strives to verify but cannot warrant the accuracy of copyrights or completeness of the information on this program.
After Who Moved My Cheese, Dad was intrigued by a question that he had heard from a number of readers, which was, why do some people change and other people don't? And what he came to understand was it came down to people's beliefs about themselves and the situations they faced. So he decided that there was more to the story and decided to go back into the maze and explore this, focusing primarily on Hem, who readers might remember had the most difficulty changing. If the central question in Who Moved My Cheese was, what would you do if you weren't afraid, I would say that the central question in Out of the Maze would be, are your beliefs serving you? Are they getting you to where you want to be? I think Cheese fans will be happy with Out of the Maze. It picks up where the last book left off. A reoccurring question my father got was, whatever happened to him? Did he ever make the change? Did he ever find his cheese? So this is largely his journey. I think what made my father different was that he was firstly a great lover of simplicity, and he also really enjoyed improving himself and his own life. So when he saw an area in his life that wasn't working, he would strip it down to its core so that he could more easily see the solution. It was also very important to him to be of service to other people, so when he found insights that had a lasting and positive effect on his own life, he wanted to share those with people. And the parable gave him that ability to tell a very simple story with insights that people from a wide range of backgrounds and situations could apply to their own life. He also enjoyed using humor because he felt that once someone could laugh at themselves, they took.
Greetings upon greetings.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Dave.
Wow.
Welcome, everybody, to Here to Help You.
That's exactly how you greeted me this morning.
No.
With the same fervor.
But your hands were cold and you tried to hug me.
Oh, this morning.
Welcome. Not this morning, this afternoon. But welcome. Hi. Welcome, everybody, Here to Help You. Welcome, Div. You were late today.
That's a little bit better. No, I'm on time. Always on time.
Guys, I want to thank you. Thank you to all the viewers for tuning in and for being here with us today. Dave, what do you think about today's show? Because we have to jump into it right away. We're not too behind time, and it's not going to be a very long show today at all. That's probably the longest part of the show right there with that video. Everything else is going to be very quick. But what do you think about the show before we actually head into it? What did you think about Who Moved My Cheese? Because today we're actually doing the sequel book, Out of the Maze. So before we get there, tell me about what your thoughts were about Who Moved My Cheese.
You know, I thought it was a very simple, very easy to follow story, right? I also thought that the message was very clear.
Yeah. so clear. It was almost like, why don't I get this? Why
Exactly.
didn't I get this a long time ago?
Right. Right.
Interesting how
Exactly.
you did that.
Exactly. Right. I mean, I'm sure we can go ahead and I can like biblicize or even spiritualize this even further.
Right.
Right. But it's a wonderful small piece of literature to go and accompany anybody's spiritual faith,
Absolutely.
regardless of a position that you may be in this world or society. Right. So
Yes.
that's my feeling and my take on, of course, the first book.
So what I noticed and what we were getting more responses on, and again, before we go any further, definitely I would say check out both books, Out of the Maze and Who Moved My Cheese. I think my Miss Selena has both. Yep, so that's the first book. The young man who was talking in the video was his son. I wanted to cut that video, but I couldn't. Like, I think what he said needed to be said.
Yeah, of course.
And again, you're like you said, it's perfect for anyone who is dealing with any type of transition. And we thought this would be the best time to get this actually out because it's end of the year, end of the decade.
Yeah.
Some of us might be worrying about who moved our cheese.
Very much.
And a lot of us, we noticed, we were getting a lot of comments about him.
Yeah. Yeah.
People want to know what the heck happened to Hem. Hem just got left with no cheese, just sour belly.
Stop it. It's sour belly.
Where is Hem? So what he did is he continued it. And Out of the Maze actually focuses on Hem. And I thought it was very important because you know what? Sometimes when we're the people who are able to just do things and move, I'm a person who I'm very sniff, scurry, and ha. All mixed up into one. Very rarely Hem. My Hem days are long gone, but it's really good to have perspective.
And that's important because now we get to see how a person who can relate to Hem, even though they may not want to, right?
Yeah.
How they can go ahead and actually take themselves out of the maze, quote unquote, right?
Out of the maze. So we may not want to admit it all the time, but most of us are trapped by our fears. It's just the reality. We're afraid to do things, which is why we don't do things.
Right.
So our fears are all expressed differently, okay? But the way Hem expresses his fear is by stating certain facts. So there's some facts that he had listed at the very beginning of this book. The facts are, I have to find more cheese. If I don't, I'll die. The apples, they'll make sense in a second, okay? The maze is a dangerous place full of dark corners and blind alleys. And it's up to me, I'm on my own. So just think about how many people probably feel like this on a day-to-day. If I don't get on my hustle, I'll die.
Right.
Survival mode.
Right.
Right?
Right.
The maze is a dangerous place. The world is a dangerous place.
Right.
Full of dark alleys, hidden corners, things you don't know. And it's up to me. I'm all alone. I've got to do this by myself.
Right.
Okay?
Survival mode.
Survival. So knowing these facts, oh my goodness, I lost my space.
Knowing these facts,
Help me.
reassured Hem. Should I go a little bit faster?
That's good. Because at least he knew where he stood.
Well, yeah.
Okay?
Right? I mean, I think that's the part that some of us may struggle with, right? Is knowing exactly where we stand.
Knowing that you're Hem.
Since we switched, right? Knowing exactly where we stand. Right?
Knowing that you're Hem. Some people need to identify their
yeah,
hemness.
of course. They need to.
It's okay.
Very nice.
The hemness?
Yes, very nice.
There's certain people in this room who need to identify their hemness, but I'm not going to say none. So, okay. So,
I think you've said a mouthful already.
so with his initial realization of where he was in his life, this man decided he was actually going to head out into the maze. So as he walked around, he noticed that Ha had been down this way and he had etched notes into the wall framed by drawings of cheese. So remember all those little notes that Ha was leaving behind?
Yes.
They made no sense to him still. I thought this was very gripping because sometimes when people do start their journey, the things that we may have wanted to share with them, like Ha was trying to share with his friend, even though they have started, they still don't get it.
Oh, he left a blueprint.
He did, but Hem still couldn't see it.
Right.
It still wasn't, he wasn't ready to completely open himself up to that. It
Correct.
was just the beginning. This is
Yeah.
why you can't judge anybody
True thing.
on their stand and where they are in their journey. You've got to just let people be.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, he was way too hungry at that time and tried to stop and read them. I thought about you when I read this line. you always talk about us as a people. And when I say as a people, I'm going to say this straight. As Black people, that
Okay.
a lot of us are in survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
We can't be worried about stuff like this because we're too busy trying to eat.
Yeah, there's a few people right now who probably deleted, some of our promo material because I want to talk about him and how we don't have time for that.
Yeah, I have to eat. I'm on my hustle. Me, I need to eat. I need to get cheese. I'm hungry.
Right.
Me. They don't have time for spiritual upliftment. But they don't seem to understand that if they took the time to make the changes that need to be made
Yes.
in your life, you wouldn't be stuck in survival mode.
See it there.
So one thing I'm going to leave off, and then we'll come back in segment 2 to follow this up, is one of the notes that Ha had left for him said, old beliefs do not lead you to new cheese.
Okay.
The way you're thinking, being in survival mode, may not be serving you. So how do you move on from there? When we get back, we're going to continue with him on his journey through the maze, out of the maze, on Here to Help You.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.
Fear is something that stops us all, but it doesn't have to.
Jumping is scary, but let me tell you this. If you don't ever jump, your parachute will never open. You will never soar. Now you'll be safe, and you'll sit there with that parachute on your back, all them skills you got, and you'll have it packed away, and you'll never get cut up on the rocks. But if you do not jump, you will never soar. You may be the greatest ever lived, but you ain't gonna know unless you jump.
There's no courage without fear. Face the thing you fear, and fear will leave you. Don't permit fear to control your life, not even for 5 minutes. Think of the people that are afraid to go into their own business. They're afraid to move to the place they'd really like to go. What are they doing? Their life is drying up, it's shrinking.
The hesitation is the thing that really messes up the chance at having your dreams. Get out of the middle. You have to be able to take that shot at the thing that you dream. You have to be able to take that shot at that love that you want, at that life that you want to build. You have to be able to.
Old beliefs, you mean, do not lead to new cheese? Okay, so old beliefs.
Your father would be very proud.
This was my dad who wrote this one. Old beliefs do not lead to new cheese.
Very nice. Very nice.
So, this was one of the things that Mr. Ha, if you're joining us, we're actually on the journey with Mr. Hem.
Mm-hmm.
From Hem and Ha, 2 characters from the book Who Moved My Cheese?
Yes.
And now the sequel, Out of the Maze.
That's right.
So Hem actually scoffed at Ha when he saw this note. He was like, cheese is either there or it's not.
Yeah.
Beliefs have nothing to do with this.
There you go.
So you have to understand, again, when you're at that beginning of the journey, there's this battle with self almost.
Very
so
much.
You brought up a very interesting not concept, but it's a theory. So can you talk about it, please?
Yeah, I was reading this book. I forget the title of the book that I was reading earlier on the way here. However, though, it mentioned something about the RAS, or RAS,
which stands for
the reticular activating system.
And can you tell everyone what the reticular activating system is and what it is responsible for in our brains?
Well, it's the part of the brain that actually notices things. For instance, let's say you just purchased a new car.
Yes.
Right? I know, you know what? This beautiful car that you just purchased, right? Before you've never noticed it on the road,
Ever.
right? However, though, as soon as you purchase this car, right,
see
you
it
begin to see it
all the
over
time.
and over and over,
Right.
right? So, and it's the same thing in regards to, of course, being on this journey, right? Once you are able to go ahead and shed this old belief, right, and you, of course, now you picked up this new one and you're on your path, you are going to begin to notice a few things, right? And these things that you begin to notice are going to help you on your journey.
You turn psychologist.
Well, let's read a few lines. Man.
Very good, Dave. So, as he ventured, he discovered that everything in the maze had changed. Hem thought about how Ha and himself had built their lives around this cheese, around the maze, right? But the maze had completely changed. So everything, think about it. And think about even people who are trying to make change. When they're trying to make change, they go back into the world. I think about relationships. When people go back into the dating world.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Tinder, swipe, what is this? They're so confused. And it's very scary.
Yes.
It can be, because it's like, I can't do this, right?
Right.
He noticed on his journey, though, as he's going, that there were these little rocks. So this is where the apples come in. They looked good. They smelled good. And he really wanted to take a bite of them. But what do you think happened?
Of course, he didn't take a bite.
Because guess why?
He's stuck in the old
He's
belief.
stuck in his own beliefs. So remember, he's not going to try something new because it's not cheese. What if it kills me? What if it hurts me? So all these negative things.
Right.
But these are fears.
Yes.
And there are things that were holding him back from not having sour belly. Just eat it. You don't know.
You mean hungry belly
Sour belly.
and hunger belly.
So he runs across another individual in the maze, and her name is Hope.
Well, had to be a female.
Yes. Very interesting, of course, that balance and the fact that it's a woman who brings him to his senses. But anyhow, she offers him one of the rocks, the apple, just like Adam and Eve. Oh my gosh.
You just caught it? You just caught it. Beautiful.
And
Beautiful.
at first, Hem is reluctant, just like Adam,
Yes, God tell me that we can't eat them this thing, yeah.
because this isn't cheese.
Right.
So Hope had never seen cheese before. She's like, I don't know about cheese, but I know that these apples right quick
Yeah.
taste really nice.
See
So
that.
you want it or not.
Right.
Like, right? But she gave him
Hope.
So when she did offer him the apple, he was like, whatever it is, I can't eat it. I only eat cheese. I'm not eating this. Again, belly well sour and hungry.
Right.
But he's still refusing this. So
Right.
Hope says something very profound. And it's something that he kind of only slightly hears, but he still catches it. She says to him, I bet you can do a lot more than you think. Right? But he's still not trying to hear it.
Right.
I'm still like in his feelings. His belly's still well dry up. Okay. Hope was from Fruit Station A. She told him that she had noticed that her apple source was getting a little bit scarce. So this is why she was out there.
Right.
And it's funny because she only had a few pieces of apple left. And she offered what she had to him.
Okay.
Right? But she didn't have much. I think she only had what was there.
Mhm.
So they're both now very hungry belly because, of course, Ham with his greedy self, when he discovers that it's good, starts to yam it all up. Typical man. Yam up all the food. Okay? Not thinking for tomorrow. Right? She's like, and she's so patient because she knows that there's not apples left. And she lets him eat the last piece. And she's like, well, we're out. So we definitely need Hope now. we have no more apple. You just yam off all of it, right? So
Right.
eating those things actually made him start to feel better. And he couldn't believe it. He was like, wow, like it didn't kill me. Yeah, it's an apple. So it's not like the Bible story. This is where the Bible and this story end. Because Ham was nourished after. He
Whoa.
didn't realize he was naked and cursed that for leave garden. No, he made it out of the maze. Okay? But maybe we have to talk about this later. So
Please.
eating these things actually make me feel better. I can't believe it. Sure you can, Hope had to tell him. It's hard if you just let go. It's hard, but if you just let go and try, things can get easier for you. Okay, so Ham realizes, I just haven't tried hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what I need to do is explore parts of the maze I haven't tried yet. So this man has some food in his belly. All of a sudden now he wants to turn Dora the Explorer.
Well, that's the apple,
It's the apple.
right? It sparks,
It's hope.
right?
So he sees Ha's old message again. old beliefs, Reverend Smith, do not lead to new cheese. Hem thought, and then he thought some more. And he's like, okay, I have to try harder. That's all I got to do. I just got to do a little bit more.
Right.
So I'm going to stop there. And when we come back, we're going to figure out what trying harder looks like for him and why he, again, as this journey continues, he begins to realize more and more it's not just about trying harder. Because if you're trying harder still with the old beliefs, you're still not going anywhere.
Right.
So we'll talk a little bit about that when we come back on Here to Help You.
World-famous spiritual astrologer and psychic Pandit Sai is born to serve people. He's an expert on palmistry and horoscope. He can handle all problems and give Vedic solutions for business, job, love, marriage, husband and wife problems, children, personal, and many others, including depression. He also performs pujas to clear all sorts of obstacles. Call Pandit Sai and see changes in your life now. 647-766-1419. Located at 2895 Derry Road, East Mississauga, Airport Road and Derry.
My name is Trish Curling, and I am an online coach, personal trainer, and yoga teacher, and your new host of Shaping Life, which is all about understanding that we have the ability and the control to take charge of our health and wellness. But we can't do it alone, and I can't wait to sit down with the best in the industry. Please tune in every Friday at 1 p.m. live here on the TCN Network.
The key is people aren't just sitting. The key is when you start making changes in your life and they're real and they're emotional and it's raw and it's not fake and it's not pretend, it just makes you fully alive. And when you're fully alive, time disappears. We all know what it's like when you hate what you're doing. A minute feels like an eternity, while hours disappear when you're having an amazing time.
But the change happens in the 10 hours?
It happens in a minute. When people say it took me 10 years to change something, it's never 10 years. It took you 10 years to get to the moment where you finally said enough. A moment till you said, I do, or I hate you, I love you, I'm starting, I quit, whatever. And so I get people that time immediately, right?
Wow. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're enjoying our continuation sequel to Who Moved My Cheese? And now, Out of the Maze, where we're following a very special character named Hem, who we realized from our last show that a lot of people actually identified with and wanted to know what happened to this character. So,
sure,
let's talk about what happened to this character.
Go on with it.
Hem begins to introspect more and realizes that he was not as sure of himself as he used to be. He had never really noticed his own thoughts before.
Okay.
Or taken a step back to consider how he looked at things.
Okay. That makes sense.
So he began to try old techniques, hoping to get different results. Isn't that us? Right?
It's like almost the definition of crazy.
It is crazy. He kept doing the same things over and over again. Actually, one of the times he was thinking about digging a hole. So he had this big bag of tools. And he wanted to dig a hole to look for cheese through the maze walls.
Right.
So Hope is like, does making holes in the wall actually find you more cheese? And he got in his feelings. He was offended by that question. He had used this technique for years, and it had worked for him before. These were really good tools that he was dragging around, even though they were mashing up his back. He wanted to drag around these tools. Although his baggage was very heavy, filled with tools he used to use, he continued to carry them around, even though he knew that they made him tired. Okay, so I want you to think about that and how that relates to sometimes people in their lives, where they're holding on to old beliefs, old ways of doing things, and wondering why when they continue to do these things and it still don't work out, they get stuck. That's all you can say. That's all I can think of right now is the fact that you get stuck. So you're like, well, I'm trying really hard and it's still not working.
Well, it happens. I mean, of course, it's like you just said, right? Having those same tools in the toolbox, right? You can't bring a hammer to go ahead and unscrew a Phillips head screw. Like, you just can't do it.
Well, you can. If you use the end of the hammer, if it has that prong, you can use the prong.
How hard is that?
Very difficult.
All right.
Takes long.
There you go.
But if that's all you have.
Well, you'll try.
That's what Hem did. He tried.
You'll try.
But it just doesn't really go very far. So
there you go.
Hem becomes depressed. He wanted things to go back, of course, to the way they were. So Hope tells him, I don't think things ever really go back to the way they are, here's a thought. Maybe they can get better from where you are.
All right.
Right? So what if we just tried a new belief? That's what Hope brought in. She's like, why don't we just try something new?
Right.
Hem's response, you don't try a new belief. Who tries a belief? Okay? They're just there. That's how it works. Besides, he liked his beliefs. He didn't want to change his beliefs. They were fine.
Naturally.
They were working for him.
Right.
Hem was stuck. And you can see this. And again, I'm talking about it lightly, but really look about how this can play in our lives if we're not careful.
Of course. I mean, you can see it, of course, with our people, right? Especially with our people, right? You can see it definitely within just everyday situations, right? You can see it now in our favorite drama TV shows, right? I mean, it's every day. It really is everyday life.
So there's actually a time where he had a dream. The night that he started to go through all this, he had a dream that he was back at his old cheese station.
Okay.
And in the dream, there were bars on the windows. It looked kind of like a prison, and he was unhappy in his dream. So he began to realize that his fears and thoughts are what have actually trapped him in this mental prison. So he's becoming more enlightened as the days go on. So Hem begins to do his own series of quotes on the wall, but now he uses apples instead of cheese because he's discovered something new.
There you go.
So can you read the very first note that he inscribes? Yeah.
Sure. A belief is a thought that I trust is true.
A belief is a thought that I trust is true. He realizes that belief was just a thought, but look at how much power that thought has.
Of course.
Right?
You know what thought has made a man do?
Oh, geez. I know thoughts made me do. Over anybody else. So his beliefs were keeping him trapped in a way of seeing things. That was why he didn't go with Ha. Because he thought about that a lot. Like, why didn't I go with Ha? Why didn't I go with my friend?
Right.
Why didn't I go with my brethren? Well,
you didn't want to.
You didn't want to. That's not where you were.
Exactly.
You wanted that cheese to reappear in Cheese Station 3.
Magic.
Like it always has, because that's what you were used to.
There you go.
Okay? He leaves another apple note.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Dave.
Old belief can hold you prisoner.
Is that not the truth?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to touch on this really quickly. And I'm going to touch on trauma because trauma can definitely create beliefs. And I speak about this from personal experience. When you've gone through a traumatic situation, you form a belief about a person, situation, or thing that holds true for you. It can also hold you prisoner. And your life can become very unhappy because you are stuck in that belief. And no way can I say is it's easy to get out of that. But you have to understand that if your life has not progressed the way you would like it to, probably because of that belief.
I agree.
Okay?
Definitely, I agree.
So with each revelation, he's going through these revelations now. Hem's growing slowly in the book. You're watching it happen. It's very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
With each note, he gets more energized. So he leaves another note. What's his next note, Dave?
Some beliefs can hold you down. Other beliefs can lift you up.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had homegirl Hope there with him. That's what I like to call her, homegirl Hope.
Nice. Very nice.
Things are starting to change for him. Next revelation he had, Dave.
You are not your belief. You are the person who chooses your beliefs.
No.
Yeah.
You can change your mind. You can choose a new belief.
Oh, yes. There you go. See, it didn't go off in time. Sorry.
Where are you reading, guy? Hey. So you can change your mind. You can choose a new belief.
There you go.
So in the past, Hem did not like when someone challenged his beliefs. He resisted changing his mind. He felt offended when anyone suggested that was what he was thinking or that things he was thinking was true. He wanted to stay sheltered with what he believed. Before, he resisted because he felt threatened.
Right.
Okay? And think about it. When someone threatens your belief, or at least you feel threatened because people aren't believing what you believe or subscribing to what you subscribe, what happens?
You're going to stay in that box.
Mm-hmm. In the prison, that mental prison, right?
There you go.
He had not wanted to change his beliefs because he liked his beliefs. Some people just like to be ignorant. And that's just the reality. You can't change them. They like to stay exactly where they are. They prefer to be the victim and find excuses as to why they're not happy instead of making the change. He thought that his beliefs made him exactly who he was. Okay? So what's the next thing that he subscribed or he inscribed into the wall?
You are not your belief.
There you go.
Ooh, I got this one right this time. So you are the person who chooses your beliefs.
But now what? What do you do with all this new knowledge? Next one, Dave.
What would you do if you believed it was possible?
So the questions, now he starts questioning himself.
Mm-hmm.
What could I do now that I'm understanding how beliefs make up things and how I'm not my belief? What is it? Is it possible that maybe there's another way out of the situation? I only thought there was cheese. I found out there was fruit.
Right.
I found out there was other people in the maze. That was astounding. And Hope.
Right.
Nice, brethren. She came around. Homegirl Hope. Okay.
There you go.
The next thing that kind of comes to him.
There are no limits to what you can believe.
So his next thought is, he's taking it there now. Him and Hope have been talking. They've been bantering back and forth. And the idea comes out, what if there's something outside of the maze? We've been living in this box for so long.
Right.
I'm starting to think even bigger. He's like, forget walking to all these blind corners, walking into dead alleys.
Right.
What if we found something outside of the maze? What a thought. But it made no sense. Like, there's nothing outside the maze. There's nothing outside what I already know. This is what I know. There's no way that we can climb up and come out of the maze. No way. So Hope questions him. Homegirl Hope says, are you sure? I was like, of course I'm sure. At least I think I'm sure. He's not too sure. So he tries to visualize it. He actually starts to try to visualize things.
Right.
But his imagination only shows him the maze. Why do you think that happened, Dave?
Because he's not fully there yet.
That's all he knew.
Right?
That's it. That's all he knew. He still couldn't see past where he was.
Yeah, and it happens. You know, we were like this growing up in a neighborhood where that's all we knew. And a lot of people who we knew didn't want to leave, didn't want to go anywhere outside of the neighborhood.
Keeps you kind of trapped, though.
Yeah, it does.
Then you're just a Rexdalian.
It happens.
You know, other places.
Which a lot of us end up discovering.
Some of you don't, though.
Some of us didn't. Some of us are still there.
No shade. Big up Rexdale.
How you mean?
I wouldn't stay there, though. Okay, so I'm probably going to get like all type of cussing from Rexdale people for this, but it's okay.
It's okay.
You can leave your comments in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Okay, so when we come back, we're actually going to go into the fact that they really start thinking about heading outside of the maze and maybe discovering something outside of this maze. And when we do that, we're going to actually, it'll tie up the book really well. And I think it'll bring some clarity for some people, because I think, again, this hem journey is not abnormal. A lot of us have been here.
Right.
I've even been here at one point, not as much anymore, but I used to be. So I get this.
Yeah.
I get this. When we come back, we're going to finish our journey with him. We're going to see what happens with him when he journeys out of the maze. We'll see you soon.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.
To collect unemployment, you have to go out and hunt for employment. And you have a code. And mine was as a clerk typist, so you go out and you look for work as a clerk typist. And one day, I can't keep being forced to be a clerk typist. So I went to the employment office and I asked to see the supervisor. And I was led into this office, and this pretty little lady, redhead, whose name was Mrs. Lipton. What can I do for you? And I said, you're forcing me to be something I'm not. I have to go out and look for work as a clerk typist. I'm not a clerk typist. I'm an actor. So I just can't keep doing it this way. She took this thing and stamped my employment book. Said, you got 6 months. Go be an actor. So if Mrs. Lipton is alive today, Mrs. Lipton, I'm an actor.
Welcome back, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
My vitamin C water. There's a flu going around. I hope no one else caught it. I've been fighting it since Saturday.
Just fling it back.
Dave didn't catch it, but...
That should... Fling it away.
So if you're just joining us, we are finishing up our, our book review of 2 major books, Who Moved My Cheese and the sequel, Out of the Maze. 2 very strong books. Spencer Johnson, MD, who died. He actually died of pancreatic cancer. In the very first segment, if you get a chance to go back, his son speaks about it. And in the end of this book, there's a really beautiful letter that he writes, which I think I'll probably read it if we have time.
Okay.
So we are now with Ham. Ham has now gone through a great spiritual revelation. He's working on it.
Right.
Still having some struggles, but he's almost there because now he's starting to think outside the maze. So they're about to start making some travels, and Homegirl Hope says to him, are you going to be bringing all those old tools? You know, Tasman was carrying a bag of tools before.
Right.
So she asked him about it, and he was like, no. And her response to him was, good. I don't think it works to launch a new quest with old baggage. So I want you to think about that one for a second. How many of us, and I keep going back to relationships, maybe only because that is one of the areas that I've had problems with.
Okay.
I had a certain belief about men. And I would bring that belief into every single relationship. And then I wondered why none of my relationships worked out. If you're carrying the baggage from your past into new ventures, it's never going to work.
Yeah, you become out of alignment.
It's not going to work. It can't work.
Mm-hmm.
You have to let go all of what you felt before sometimes if you truly want to see change in your life. And that's the power of this book.
Mm-hmm.
Is you got like those little small things they put in there.
Right.
Of him having to he was carrying around these tools, this baggage. How many of us are just carrying around unnecessary baggage?
It happens.
From pains in our life and trauma. And
it happens.
I'm not downplaying any of it because I am one of you. Believe me, I've been there. But in order for me to move forward and have a successful relationship, I had to leave that stuff behind. And I still struggle with it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm getting better. I'm definitely not hemming it. Now, Ham was doing all these things that he would have never done before. Okay?
Okay.
So obviously it felt a little strange.
Right.
All these things that he used to avoid, he was now doing them. He had to continue to remind himself on the journey. Just because you think it doesn't mean you have to believe it.
Right.
So just because I think this is dangerous doesn't mean I have to believe it's dangerous. So his next little note was, go ahead, David's already there for you.
You don't have to believe everything you think.
I want you guys to take that one in. You don't have to believe every single thing that you think, because not everything you think is correct. You could be wrong.
True.
You can't believe that.
There you go.
All right. They keep on going, and finally, guess what, Dave?
What?
They make it out of the maze. They made it out of the maze. They found a way out of the maze. And would you know that once they got out of the maze, there was apple and cheese everywhere. They were worried about this dega cheese and apple in the maze. When they got out, it was all over the place. Ham goes over what he's learned in the last few days. Now that he was out there, like, oh my God, like now it was that breakthrough. He had the breakthrough and then everything. And it's like that enlightenment period. And it's so true. Sometimes we have to learn about ourselves. And when we become truly enlightened, that's when everything makes sense. So here's a list of things that he learned. First thing you got to do is you got to notice your beliefs.
Okay.
Okay? Don't believe everything you think.
Okay.
Let go of what isn't working. Drop the baggage. Look outside of the maze. Look outside of what you usually do.
Right.
Choose a new belief. Just try it out. Yam an apple instead of eating cheese all the time. And know that there are no limits to what you can believe. Beautiful list. Look how
Excellent.
long it took for him to get here.
But still, you know,
he got here.
He got there. I mean, there's no timetable in regards to when one should get there. I mean, we all want it now.
It's a lifelong journey for some of us.
But it is.
Right?
Right?
For most of us, it's a lifelong journey.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So he finally reunites with Ha. And the three characters actually stand there contemplating the awesome ability beliefs have to actually hold you down or lift you up.
There you go.
And the thrilling discovery that you can change them and still be you. Narrow viewpoints will only get you into trouble. Okay? All your beliefs, you have to remember, are worth examining.
Mm-hmm.
The key is to notice your beliefs and to test them regularly, not just discard them. Don't just discard everything. Test them out and see if they're working. If they're not working for you, if those beliefs are not bringing you to the place where you want to be in your life, you have to let them go.
Right.
Okay? When you allow yourself to believe, an entire world of new possibilities open up. I liked that drunk. Selena, I thought you'd like this one too. Isn't that cool? Yeah. Like the world in the hands, like it's just a very hopeful picture. The seeds, you see all that, right? I loved it. When I saw it, I was like, this is perfect for our ending picture. So what I want to do actually is I think I am going to read this because we have 2 minutes. There's a letter in the back of the book. Let me find it. Where's his letter? Okay. So he wrote a letter to his tumor.
Okay.
So, hello, tumor. I love you now. I used to fear and fight you so that I could defeat you. Then I looked at my beliefs to see if they were more about what I loved or what I feared. Clearly, they were about what I feared. And I loved how I have learned to love you, which seemed like a strange idea to me. How much richer my life has become, because while I am sick and realize I could soon die soon, I've become a much more appreciative, loving person, much closer to my family and friends, with a greater sense of purpose, and have accelerated my spirituality. So thank you, thank you, thank you. That's crazy.
It takes a very strong person to want to realize something like that.
Yeah. And it shows you again, this man had already written this book. And even in his death, he was still having issues dealing with certain things with fear.
Yeah.
And he was still battling. So I'm saying, like, this journey, guys, is not an easy one.
Of course. Of course.
What we do want to do, and what Dave and I really aim to do for our community, is to provide you. We're not going to be the most popular, and let me retract that. We will be popular at one point because people are going to understand that the information that we are giving you guys is valuable. It's not stupidness. I'm not up here doing no mock comedy. That's not who I am. I am kind of funny still. But this is not a comedian show. This show is about learning. Our number one goal at Here to Help is to help our community grow outside of who we are.
There you go.
And that's why we do things like this every single week. Dave, do you have any closing thoughts?
Very enjoyable. Right. Again, very easy to follow. As we mentioned last week, it reminds me sort of like the Celestine Prophecy. Paulo Coelho's book, was it The Alchemist?
The Alchemist.
Right, as well. I can align it now with some of the Kemetic spirituality. Of course, when Hope comes along, the balance, right?
Man and woman, feminine.
There you go, right? Feminine energy, of course, is at peace now, but goes out to seek the answers, will bring the answers, right? And the masculine, of course, is the action part, the agency, right? So I can see where that takes place. And of course, when he comes into balance, right? Well, we see the balance of the two, right? Then we can see, of course, the purposefulness or the niya, so to speak, right? So it's a valuable piece of literature.
Yeah, definitely hope you guys enjoyed the show. Can't forget to tell you guys to, if you found this valuable, if something in this touched you, you think there's someone else this might help, like, share, and subscribe.
For sure.
Guys, please, we love doing this for you guys here and Here to Help You. It's almost year end. We have 1 more week, 2 more weeks?
Something like that.
2 more weeks of the year. So it gives us maybe 2 more shows.
Maybe.
Maybe 2 more shows.
Maybe.
If you guys have any thoughts for a new year, we are open to all thoughts on what you want to hear in the new year. You can definitely get in contact with us on any of our posts below. Yeah. Not contact. You can get in touch with us.
Much better.
With a deal with Nakan. You can get in touch with us by reaching us at any of our links below. DM either Dave or myself. We'll get back to you. You guys have a wonderful Tuesday evening. Dave, thank you for joining me on the journey with Hem and Ha.
No worries. We are now out of the maze.
We're out of the maze now,
yes, we
guys.
is.
And I hope you guys join us out of the maze. We'll see you next year.
Peace and love, family.